All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. You are listening to the second ever episode of the @Real Gabe Anders Show with myself, Gabriel Anders, and you're listening to us on whether it be Spotify or Apple iTunes or Google Podcasts, wherever you're finding us. You're hearing the voice of myself and my co-host, Richie Vegas. Richie, how are you doing today?
I am in a mood.
This I've been able to gather from you sent out some angry tweets into the Twitterverse. I got the text messages. I talked to you a little bit before we jumped on here. You're hot. You're steaming, aren't you? You're a typical tea kettle about to whistle, I feel like.
It is not fun being a fan of the Houston Texans.
Oh man, well, I mean that can be said about a lot of fan bases, but I think you are right. But first, so we'll explore why. We'll explore this week's cause of Richie's aneurysm, most recent aneurysm, and in the meantime, though, real quick, we're gonna get some general house cleaning done first. So before I make you eat crow, as we follow us on Twitter, I'm at Real Gabe Anders, Richie's at Richie Vegas RGA. You might have seen we're going back and forth with some things. You'll be eating crow later, but before I make you do any of that, it's my show. I should be the first one, right? I went on a tear last week about the Chicago Cardinals being the highest scoring team ever with that 73-0 victory. That happened way back when, and I'm going to go ahead and be the first from our good house cleaning to eat crow. It was, in fact, the Chicago Bears. It was, in fact, head coached by George Halas, as you were trying to recall.
I knew it. Okay.
And it was the 1940 NFL championship game. I want to say, I would imagine coming into it, 7-3 Chicago Bears defeated the 9-1 coming into it Washington Redskins, so the Eastern and Western conferences respectively. Bears in the West, Redskins in the East, 73-0. Again in 1940, not the Chicago Cardinals. So that was me, and I am eating that crow right off the bat here. Next part of good housekeeping. Jeff Garcia, just to fill you in, he did not play for I don't know what name the Alver Stars of made up some city made up. Jeff Garcia actually played in the UFL for the Omaha Nighthawks in 2010 and 2011. I don't know if that's the jersey you have. Fun fact. So he was an NFL quarterback, started with the Niners and was in with the Raiders, went around to a lot of teams. Fun fact for you might remember Texans actually also signed Garcia in 2011 when Matt Schaub got injured. So Texans
that's where I recognized the name when you brought it up. I recognized the name Jeff Garcia.
Exactly. And fun fact that I learned when I was looking at that, the Texans also that year signed Panthers quarterback who led them to a Super Bowl. It's still amazing. Jake Delhomme and TJ Yates.
That was backups. The year we went into panic mode because we were 13-2 and then Matt Schaub went down.
Yes.
And then we finished 13-3.
Yep.
And got the bye into the second week of the playoffs and then lost our first playoff game.
You are so downtrodden. We're gonna let you get all your Texans angst out in a second. Just another thing, I called the 2001, which by the way, the other night, a couple nights ago, I watched the $1 Million Game again just because. I told you I do it once a year. This was the time. I called the 2001 LA team in the XFL. I called them the Los Angeles Express. Incorrect. They were actually the LA Extreme, headed by Tommy Maddox with that shutout victory over the Demons. Los Angeles Express was actually a USFL team in the 80s. Now, in the news, segueing from that, speaking of the USFL, they've named 4 new head coaches. Mike Riley, old Chargers coach, being one, as well as a few other ones. USFL starts on April 16th, 2022. I am excited. That's just a few months away. 8 teams have been named, and it's pretty cool. They're using a lot of the original franchises, not the LA Express, but they are going to have these are Jersey Generals, Michigan Panthers, Philadelphia Stars, Pittsburgh Maulers, Birmingham Stallions, Houston Gamblers, New Orleans Breakers, and the Tampa Bay Bandits. And then also did you have anything on the USFL, or have you looked at that, or is this the first you're hearing of the USFL?
This is the first time hearing. I don't remember if you mentioned it last week, but I think this is the first time really hearing of any of the actual details.
I did. I don't know. Do people still say geeked? I am geeked over. Is that the appropriate? I am so excited.
That is the appropriate word.
I'm going to use more of my old man terminology because I feel more comfortable with it. I'm so pumped up. I am jacked for the USFL coming back. I've been all over this. I've been on top of it. I'm so happy. And April 16th, I will be watching these games. In other football news, alternative football league news, did you hear the Rock made an announcement?
That's what I'm geeked about. I'm ready. January 5th, 2023. We're ready. We're going. The XFL is back, baby, under the guide, the watchful eye of the people's champion himself. The XFL is going to be stacked. And I have a feeling that no offense to the USFL, but I have a feeling the XFL is going to pull in a lot of that fringe NFL talent.
Oh, it's going to get a lot more crossover and a lot more of that. Yeah. It might even get the better talent. Just I haven't looked at the business structures. But speaking of the great one, here is The Rock just sort of giving that announcement of training camp opening in January of 2023. Here, let's take a listen.
All right, this one goes out to all us football fans out there. This is big and this is exciting news, guys. I'm so excited to let you know that 1 year from today, in exactly 365 days, we will kick off our official 2023 XFL training camps. I'm so excited about this. I know you guys are excited too. And all month long, this month, our team of XFL executives are out there scouting the next great players. And I can tell you this, as an XFL owner and a man who has proudly put these calloused dinosaur hands in the dirt, all for the love of football, I can tell you that the XFL player will be the hardest and hungriest players in the room. So Football Nation, we are building this for you. The XFL is watching, all for the love of football. Here we go, 1 year from today.
So that again, like you said, January 5th, 2023, right?
Yeah. How much do you want to bet Johnny Manziel shows up in that league now that it's not under Vince McMahon?
Was there did he have a tie to Vince McMahon? I'm not aware of that.
Vince McMahon made a statement when he restarted the NFL saying anybody with any prior convictions can't play in the XFL.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that'll probably go away.
And then I think somebody else we may see pop into the XFL now that it's not owned by Vince McMahon either is Colin Kaepernick.
I could see that, but I don't know. Was Colin I feel like he wasn't with the last XFL. Was he even trying to get it in, or was he just shooting for the NFL?
He wasn't welcome.
Oh, wow. Okay, because
Vince McMahon made a strong statement about not allowing people who were kneeling for the national anthem into the league.
Well, I didn't know. I wasn't really following the XFL. I didn't know that was so loaded that there were so many. Yeah, that all goes away with I think with this new production company and the way they're just watching them set up the ownership and all the leadership. Yeah, that all goes away.
And I think with the way just the way The Rock works as a person, I think a lot of that philosophy changes. And The Rock, rather he's the key owner or not, he's going to be the face of the league. He's going to be like their commissioner. And I think him being the face of the league makes it to where it'll be held to a different standard than when like Vince McMahon was the face of the league.
Yeah, I think definitely there'll be a lot many key differences in the just the operations in general. I was trying to think. Okay, yeah, so he is cited as an owner. I had the leadership pulled up on the XFL website. I was going to say I don't even know if The Rock took an ownership credit, but he did. Him and whoever the is it Danny Garcia, chairwoman and owner, and then the media company. Then they have their officials up there if you want to check it out. So yeah, that'll be fun. I think there'll be a lot more pop, a lot more sizzle, I think, just with it being The Rock and his entertainment mindset. And I anticipate a lot of funny, awesome. Me and the lady and I, we follow anything Kevin Hart and The Rock do on TikTok and Instagram. So I'm sure we'll get a lot of football tidbits. I can't wait to see Kevin Hart dressed up in football gear. I bet you that's a gem we'll get.
That's gotta be coming.
Yeah, that's a gem we'll get. Richie Vegas, you have a new Twitter. We touched on that at Richie Vegas RGA. So send your hate tweets. We'll get a little more than that in a little bit.
Yes, and then gives me fuel for the week, please.
Absolutely. It's like his caffeine. It's great. Quandre Diggs update, bad injury on Sunday. Says he is thankful and his surgery to fix his broken leg was a success. You were watching that game, right?
I was because it was on, and that was a brutal injury, man. Both sidelines were crying for the dude. Like, heart goes out to him. I'm glad it went well, the recovery or the surgery, and I hope his recovery goes well.
Yeah, and everything I was seeing, it sounds like he's on the up and up. So our wishes from the Real Gabe Anders show to you, Quandre, for a speedy recovery. Hopefully you're back on the field. I think Pete Carroll was saying that they want him back. So I don't know if that was referring to next season or
this was a contract year. This was a contract year for him.
Okay.
So that's why everybody was so downtrodden for him, is he was on a contract year and he had been tearing it up. He had been doing really, really well to earn a better pay. Yeah. And it would rather be a payday in Seattle or a payday elsewhere. And the injury, now it adds a question mark. But with that surgery going well, I hope that erases some of the doubt. We just have to see how his rehab goes. And I see him probably getting picked up or his contract fixed with Seattle a little bit later into free agency, just so we could see how he recovers. If he recovers and goes back to form, he'll be collecting a bag. But if he is not, if his form dips at all, I don't know how much of a pay cut he'll take to stay with Seattle, or if another place will pay him the value he was worth before the injury.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting to see. It sounds like there's a lot of, from what I was seeing, a lot of confidence from Pete Carroll, and a lot of, it sounds like he has a home in Seattle if he wants to stay there. He'll probably shop around.
That's assuming Pete Carroll stays.
True. Very true. Very good point. So on that note, speaking of head coaches, 8 positions looking to be filled right now, right? So I know the first I saw was Fangio.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see here. Do I have it pulled up? So
I have it pulled up if you don't.
Okay. Who are the teams that are now awaiting head coaches? We had the Las Vegas Raiders and the Broncos, because Vegas was awaiting a coach. Jaguars awaiting a coach. Broncos. Who else is out there?
Bears fired Matt Nagy.
Okay.
And then the Vikings.
Save yours for last, by the way.
I will. I already know, because I'm not going to stop talking once I start talking.
Right.
The Vikings fired Mike Zimmer.
Okay.
And they also fired their GM Rick Spielman too.
I think that's a bad move, because the Vikings are on the verge.
It is. They've been building a good squad. I don't think it's the same situation as the Broncos, right? Where a whole house needs to be cleaned.
Right. Yeah. The Broncos are just, they're a project in its own. If they were to land Aaron Rodgers, they would still need a lot of work done.
And then another fire that kind of blows my mind, that I don't see why it happened, especially with how strong their season ended, was Brian Flores getting fired from the Dolphins.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, just because they picked up so much steam too. But yeah, I don't understand that one.
Did you already say Joe Judge from the Giants?
No, not yet.
Okay, so here's the list comprehensively before we go into my rant that might last an entire segment. We'll see. Joe Judge on the Giants, Brian Flores on the Dolphins, Matt Nagy on the Bears, Mike Zimmer on the Vikings, Vic Fangio from the Broncos, and then, of course, we had the Urban Meyer and John Gruden resignations earlier in the year.
Which leads us to drum roll, please.
And just across the wire, while I was getting ready to head home from work, comes across my desk that the Houston Texans have fired first-year head coach David Culley.
Oh, he was that was his first year there?
It was his first year.
So I've been we didn't talk about it last week, but I had it slated because I wanted to sort of discuss Dan Campbell in Detroit, because I really like Detroit. There and my biggest thing was
what Detroit's doing with Dan Campbell is what I thought we were going to do.
And it was to defend. And I think they made the right move in keeping Dan Campbell, who's a second-year coach, I believe, out there. And the Texans just said, "Get out of here, Culley. We have why? What's the rationale here?"
Here's the thing, too, right? Before I get long-winded, here's the thing. I don't know if we're late enough into a YouTube clip for me to drop an F-bomb, so I'm not going to. But here's the thing. With Culley, they gave this man nothing, right? They gave him rocks and sticks, and he still pulled off 4 wins and he pulled off several close calls. What was your what you were asking before I go on this tangent too much further? What was the exact point we were on?
What is the rationale of them firing David Culley in his first year? After his first year.
Right. So here's the thing. Like I said, with them giving him nothing to work with and a rookie quarterback that he led to one of the highest rookie QBR ratings. And you're still going to fire David Culley after one season with giving him no chance to prove himself. He wins his first game with Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor goes down with injuries. So now he has to prepare a rookie to take snaps when you only have one viable weapon in Cooks, right? And you have to also understand the dumpster fire this man took over. He got hired after the Bill O'Brien era, which we'll get into. But
actually, explain some of that right now. So, Bill O'Brien, you were sort of breaking it down to me. I know we'll get into that in just.
I'll give you a gist. I'll give you the one thing I told you that was going to make you remember why I hate Bill O'Brien.
We'll save it for just a second because I was going to say, we'll bring it up when we bring it up in a second. But yeah, so
okay, I'll save the Bill O'Brien talk. But the rationale behind firing David Culley is they're trying to. I have a statement here from the Texans if you want to hear it. I read the first sentence and I was furious. All right. So this is a statement from Nick Caserio, the worst replacement general manager we could have gotten when I didn't think it could get worse. Earlier today, I met with David Culley and Tim Kelly, the offensive coordinator, to inform them that we'll be moving in a different direction at the head coach and offensive coordinator positions. I came to this difficult but necessary decision after reviewing our football operation. While a change after one season is unusual, we had philosophical differences over the long-term direction and vision for our program moving forward. We appreciate Coach Culley for helping us navigate through a difficult season, but it is my responsibility to make decisions that I feel are best for our organization. The search for the next coach of the Houston Texans will begin immediately. Let me ask you something, Gabe. Who the hell wants to coach the Houston Texans?
Well, so it sounds like those philosophic differences might be, David Culley, did he want to win and they didn't?
He wanted to rebuild. He knew what he was signing up for.
With the intention of winning. So perhaps the organization doesn't want to win. I'm seeing a name thrown around, though. You guys might be able to land Josh McDaniels.
I doubt it. Look at the other teams offering positions right now and tell me if you're Daniels, you take a position with the Texans over the Dolphins, or you take a position with the Texans even over the Bears or the Vikings. All of those look. Another one that looks really promising if they get the right coach is the Jaguars. So you look at all these teams that are looking for coaches right now. The Texans, the Giants, and the Broncos have to look like the least attractive options in order of worst to best. The Texans know, but we're going to get the last possible head coach that we could throw money at. That'll take our money. Because here's the difference, right? David Culley's philosophy was he wanted long-term. He wanted to build Mills up. He wanted Davis Mills. That's where I think the disconnect is because I think the Texans are going to move on from Mills. I don't think they're going to take the time to turn him into the quarterback he can be. And because it shows in history, Case Keenum, TJ Yates, there's a lot of kids they could have developed by getting the right pieces around them, like for mentoring and coaching, and they didn't do. Right. I'm not comparing Mills to any of them because I actually think Mills is better than both of the men I just mentioned. But I find it's the Texans' philosophy is with quarterback especially is if you can't prove yourself within the first year, they already look for something else.
Yeah, and I think there's just a systemic sort of problem within the organization right there. I think
in our time,
the problem.
We have been a team for 20 years now. We are going on our 20th season. We have had 2 franchise quarterbacks in 20 years. And by franchise quarterbacks, I mean quarterbacks that played for more than 2 seasons.
Right. Absolutely. Well, if you guys want to discuss, because I know you can go on for days and days and days about this, remember at Richie Vegas, RGA on Twitter. So I'm sure he'll have lots to say if you want to reach out to him there. Tweet him. And, I was mentioning Josh McDaniels because he might fall that he had the videotaping scandal. So he might fall down to you guys because he probably, even if he wants to go to other teams, he might not be able to make it. But nonetheless, I think he did a good job of making the Houston Texans organization hate you, Richie. We're going to find out on the other side of the break.
They can hate me as much as they want. I hate them.
Well, Richie, you also did a good job of making the internet hate you. We're going to find out right after the break what you did there, and we'll be right back here on the @Real Gabe Anders Show. Myself, Gabriel Anders, and Richie Vegas. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fans of all ages, the AWF is back January the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona as we present High Stakes. Watch the AWF stars risk it all in the ring. Bet on an action-packed family fun night of entertainment. And come roll the dice with us January the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona at the new AWF Arena. Tickets are on sale now at ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com, and please support our sponsors. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the @Real Gabe Anders Show, and you're listening to us. I just wanted to touch on it. We did not get to mention it the last segment, so some other great news. We are now officially worldwide, Richie. So tell your friends, your family, all of the sports fans you know, even that guy you hate at the bar who's so annoying, that they can all listen to us now. You can listen to the Real Gabe Anders Show on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're on Stitcher, Anchor, YouTube for different clips. You can listen to us anywhere you can listen to podcasts. So tell your friends, subscribe to us, follow us on the platforms of your choice, and then remember to rate us 5 stars if they give you that option, or whatever, however that works. So you can catch our favorite clips of the week on YouTube. Just search for the Real Gabe Anders channel. And Richie, you made some YouTube friends here this last week.
Speaking of YouTube, go ahead and lay that on me.
Good old Richie Hot Takes over here, as you've been deemed this last week. You made some friends when you pissed off the internet, Richie. You've thoroughly angered the interwebs. So we have a new segment that we're bringing up called "The Internet Hates Richie Vegas," and we know this will be consistent and weekly because, well, you're you. And you're going to say what you're going to say. So first one.
Give me enough tears to hydrate me for 1,000 summers.
Oh, there you go. So again, hate tweets to Richie Vegas RGA at Richie Vegas RGA on Twitter. Comments on our YouTube. Message me. However it is, we're going to read them on air. And here we go. We have some nice classical music behind us for this. So grab your nice little scotch there, Richie, and take in the abuse. So first one comes on YouTube. So Matt Ryan hates Richie Vegas, as does his buddy, a Falcon fan on YouTube. Let's see. Matt Ryan, this is a retort to you hating Matt Ryan. So Matt Ryan, defender here, claims that he is a great QB. This team was horrible, and he dragged this team to 7-10. Julio Jones did nothing without Ryan. So claiming with him and the Titans this year. Ryan got the 25-point lead.
Oh my God.
I believe he's inferring he doesn't play defense. You sound stupid, sir. I thought he said to shut up, but you sound stupid, Richie.
Okay, hang on.
Quick retort to this, if you will.
You're right. He doesn't play defense. He plays offense. Correct. You're right. It's not his fault that the Patriots scored 4 consecutive touchdowns? No, what's his fault is he couldn't fire back. He couldn't execute. He didn't have the killer instinct to execute back because he's garbage in clutch situations. He would be nothing without Julio. Nothing! You take Julio away and look how horrible he does. Hold on. I want a specific stat. I want to see if somebody on the internet has found this stat. Matt Ryan's record without Julio.
Okay, what's that stat that you found there, Richie?
Okay, so no, what I was looking for, I can't find. But I found some stats that are interesting. However, I want to know his actual record without Julio. Hang on. Okay, Matt Ryan's stats in 2020 without Julio. I want the Falcons his overall wins and losses. But to be fair, the one thing that sticks out to me already when he doesn't have Julio is he becomes an interception machine.
That's fair.
So he becomes predictable.
And that's nothing on Julio.
No, it's nothing on Julio. It's everything on Matt Ryan.
Right.
Because it shows he's thrown 37 interceptions in 42 games without Julio Jones.
Yep, and Julio also just, in his defense, he only played 10 games, so he was out for a bit. He only had 31 receptions for 434 yards, was only targeted 48 times, so he can't really help if Tannehill's thrown it or not. That's not on him. I'd say with what he did, that's not bad. 31 receptions out of 48 targets and 434 yards. That's fairly productive. So I wouldn't say Julio Jones did nothing. But next, moving on.
No, my whole last thing I'll say on that. My whole thing is Matt Ryan is nothing without Julio Jones. And the reason that they couldn't win, that they didn't win that Super Bowl, goes beyond just that defense. It was Matt Ryan's inability to score. That's it.
Well,
if the other team can score, you have to do it back.
Well, there you go. And we got a lot more people who hate you, Richie. So Jimmy G's the next.
Bring him on.
Jimmy G hates you, Richie. I believe we have a statement prepared on this as well. He actually sent me a message. He said, "Thank you for all the support. Love the first episode of the show. Can you tell Richie that I only have one word for him, quote unquote, angry face emoji, apologize."
I apologize for absolutely nothing. The whole thing that my original platform was on, it came to Jimmy Garoppolo shirt, is the fact that he is inconsistent and he didn't change my mind. He was good this week. Next week they're gonna lose.
Oh, they're ridiculous. He's gonna be fantastic. Jimmy, thanks for listening to the show. I appreciate it. And we're gonna bring up not only Jimmy hates you, but Richie, the Chargers, and at Real Gabe Anders hates Richie Vegas this week because you personally brought on the demise and downfall of the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert in their overtime loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. Explain yourself on this one.
The Chargers.
You picked the Raiders. You made them win.
I know I did, but here's the thing, and you could be as mad at me as you want to be for saying this. Chargers don't take that timeout. Both teams are in the playoffs.
Okay, so I haven't rewatched it yet. I thought the Raiders took the timeout.
No, Chargers took the timeout.
Okay, and it was probably a safe face timeout. Well, that's a dumb move by the Chargers.
Chargers don't take that timeout. Chargers and Raiders are in the playoffs. Raiders
nobody corrected me because you guys were, as I was texting you, I was texting a good friend of mine, Joey. Shout out to Joey out in Phoenix. I was texting my dad. I had a big support system for this game. And you all probably got the text, the salty San Diegan text of they could have just ran out the clock. I swear, I recall, and I'll have to rewatch it. We'll get back to it next week. I think the verdict's out. I'm going to rewatch it. I recall, what is his name? Not Aaron, Derek Carr standing by the referee. I thought he took the timeout, but the lady said the same thing because she was watching with her group as well. So verdict's out. We'll get to it next week. But I still, for the time being, I and the Los Angeles Chargers and the cities of San Diego and Los Angeles, respectfully, and our entire fan base, hate Richie Vegas as well as the internet. Georgia won because you seem to really make friends in Georgia. Anything to say on Georgia winning the college national championship to make the state of Georgia completely? You can't go to Atlanta. Do you want to make it the whole state?
Look, I'm happy for Atlanta. Like, I'm happy for the Bulldogs. I wanted them to win because you know who is one of the coaches for Alabama?
Oh, that's right. What is your tie? Explain yourself away now.
Bill O'Brien. You know who Bill O'Brien is?
Ex-Texan coach.
And ex-Texans general manager. Concurrently was coach and general manager. He is the man who traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson and a second-round pick to the Cardinals.
Well, there you go. So
no, fifth round pick. My mistake. We've traded him for potatoes.
Well,
not
there
actual
you go.
Currency.
Good thing he's out in Texas, and you guys will be getting.
Yeah, and he can continue to be a loser in NCAA
and
lose to Georgia.
And now the entire state of Georgia will hate you as well as
Georgia will love me. Alabama can hate me.
He's on Alabama. Okay, well there you go.
Alabama is who I'm dogging.
There's another state. We're down to 48 states, so we can take the live show too. So moving on to the Week 18 recap. We made our picks last week. You can listen to it on the archives. You can listen to it. So we had a lot of picks. There are some deferring ones. Richie, you won the picks last week. So just to let you guys know, we're going to make these picks a weekly thing. We're going to be doing wildcard picks in just a moment. And by the end of the year, we're going to tally them all up, and whoever wins, we're going to find some sort of prize, something. But Richie and I are competing from here on out every single week, every single episode on these picks. And last week, I will accept defeat. I went 11-5, like a good, nice wild card team does. And you won the division at 12-4 with your picks last week. So I think the biggest ones were going to be let's see, you had Miami over New England. That was you picked Cleveland over Cincinnati. Washington over the Giants, and yeah, those were really your and then you picked the Raiders and you made the Chargers lose. So good job. That's your 1 point by destroying the hopes. And you know how many grown men and children you made cry by picking the Raiders and getting your 12-4. I hope you're happy with yourself.
I am.
I hope you are. I know you are. I'm sure you are. But nonetheless, Richie takes it in week 1. Week 2, we're going to go into the wildcard picks in just a moment. We saw the Saints win, but couldn't make it in. The 49ers pulling out an amazing overtime victory over the Rams. Of course, the Raiders beat the Chargers and what was an amazing game. All jokes aside, an amazing game. And wow, how good is Justin Herbert on 4th down? We don't need to talk about the other downs, but I won't say that I have buy-in from anybody yet. Do you know how much flack I got over saying Justin Herbert's the next Joe Montana?
A lot, what you should have.
I was lit up all weekend like a Christmas tree.
I gave you slack over that.
My father told me to calm down and that time will tell how good your quarterback will be when he listened in on the show. And yeah, so I was thoroughly lit up, but I will say, did Herbert not at least show you something to prove that I'm not 100% crazy? That there is something there in that victory or a near victory that with just the way he played and the way that they were able to hang it. Because again, like we were talking about Matt Ryan, Justin Herbert's job isn't to stop the run. That's the defense. Justin Herbert's job is to, as you so put it, right? Justin Herbert's job is to keep him in the game. He did that until literally the last second. I couldn't
disagree with you.
He couldn't stop that field goal. So any other notables from the week? Of course. Oh, yeah. And the Steelers pulled out an awesome victory in overtime as well. We're able to sneak in with the Chargers losing. Ravens were out with that loss. Everything played in, and Roethlisberger's back in the playoffs. So our wild card round is set. We'll go over those in just a moment. Before we do, any standouts from week 18? Week 17 is what I was going to say. Week 18 is now the last week of the month. What'd you see? Anything stand out to you?
Week 18. Anything stand out to me other than these there was something that stood out to me, but it doesn't matter anymore. The fact that the Texans almost beat the Titans. That was huge. Yeah. And my original thought was, I think Culley secured his job with that win, or not win, but with that
performance.
Game, with that performance. And I was proven wrong. So I have nothing else to say about it. I mean, it was a really cool week. It was dramatic. Like both the two games that mattered the most went to overtime, and that was cool to watch.
It was a great day of football. Well, I would even say the three, because the three that I really focus and hone in on. So to give you guys a peek behind the veil here, behind the curtain. So I'll watch the game. I'll pick, a designated game to watch and sort of keep track of, and I tab everything else and then watch everything else on Gameplay or Game Pass. So I watched the Steelers Ravens, I watched the Niners Rams, and I watched the Chargers Raiders on Sunday. Yeah,
all three of those.
All three went into overtime, and all three had great finishes.
Yeah.
So
they all mattered.
Yeah, and as my buddy Joey put it, the schedule makers did their job great this year. They did a great job this year, and the drama was there until literally the very last second of the season. So
Literally, the coolest part about that is the fact that the last second of the season almost almost was a tie, and it would have been the first time ever in the history of the NFL that a tie determined the outcome of two teams going into the playoffs.
Oh, can you imagine how angry would you be if you were a Steelers fan and he had missed that field goal? How angry would you be? And I love. Did you watch the Sunday night game? Did you watch it live? Like there was like these two Steelers fans that they just kept showing reactions of, and they were more nervous than anybody else in the stadium. It was fantastic. And they were sitting there in their Steelers jerseys, and every single play that happened, they would cut to the Steelers fan, and they would just be like, "Oh." And they were yelling and screaming and pointing at the field more than I think any Raiders or Chargers fans were. It was great. I loved it. But the biggest thing that stood out to me in week 18,
one last thing about that game. I don't know if you have gone back and watched it. There at one point before that field goal, like the last play of the game, they panned to a random Steelers fan.
Oh, that might be the ones. Those might be the ones. Yeah, they were doing that the whole game. I remember that. It was the one. Those were the ones. Yeah.
They panned to a random Steelers fan. It was this old man, and he looked so anxious.
Yes, that was them. The whole game they were doing that. Like every third or fourth play, they kept cutting over to him. And those are exactly the ones I was talking about. It's fantastic. It's great. I loved it. Because like I said, they were more nervous than anybody else in the stadium. It was great. But before we finish up week 18, the one thing that stood out to me is, oh man, did you watch any of the Bills Jets game? Josh Allen is a monster, and he has gone to another level. He's gone in full Rambo mode. Like Josh Allen
exterminator. He has gone exterminator, dude. I can't wait to see what that kid can do.
Oh man, like
he is gonna tear in the playoffs this year, I think.
Like sliding. No, Josh Allen, and he's so big too. Like he is just a beast. But
he is this generation's Ben Roethlisberger. But better.
Absolutely. Oh, but far better.
More consistent.
Absolutely. And so we're going to get right into the wildcard picks. Wildcard stage is set. We're going to go, let's just go down the list, right? As they're happening chronologically. So we'll get to Josh Allen and the Bills because I can't wait for that one. That's one I want to see. First matchup though. So Saturday we have 2 games. Sunday we have 3 games. First ever Monday night wildcard game, which is sort of neat. When I heard that, I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. But first one is what I want to be just a bloodbath right away off the bat. Let's get this play started off right. Bengals and the Raiders. I want the Bengals to win 173 to, can there be negative points? -2. I want them to lose a safety. I hate the Las Vegas Raiders. Bengals and Raiders, who do you pick and what do you see?
Well, you already know my dark horse for the Super Bowl is the Bengals. So
that's right. You're a big Burrows guy.
I am a huge Joe Burrows fan, man. I love the guy. He is what the Browns thought Baker Mayfield was supposed to be. And he's a better Baker Mayfield. He is everything that Baker couldn't be. And I think he's just a beast, man. He's so good. He's so young. And this is just another hot take for me. If I'm a coach and a GM, I'm more comfortable with the fact that I have not just a kid with personality and swagger and skill like him. I would take my Joe Burrow victory over having Patrick Mahomes for 2 reasons. Number 1, Joe Burrow brings the right type of attention, and not saying that Mahomes brings bad attention, but because of how much he was hyped up, he brings a sort of expectation. If Burrow underperformed just slightly, people wouldn't poke at him as hard as when Mahomes starts to dip, and that type of morale sticks with the team. And I think somebody like Joe Burrow, he's got the machismo or the charisma, if you will, to pull a team and get people behind him, and in a way that Baker tried to do.
And I'm so impressed. I didn't know what all the big hype was because I didn't really follow Burrow through college when they got him last year and he went out with the broken leg. I didn't realize that there was so much hype because he played the Chargers and the Chargers beat him last year to start off the season. I see it now. He is wow. I've been very impressed with him. I'm going Bengals. You're going Bengals, right? I love Joe Burrow. I hate the Raiders. So both of us got the Bengals there. Next one. Bills and the Patriots are going to be the late game on Saturday to start off Wildcard Weekend. What do you see in this matchup here?
Which one? Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
No worries. Bills and the Patriots.
Bills and Patriots. Bills. It's Bills Mafia's revenge time. They're gonna take the Patriots out back, and they're gonna line them up, Tommy gun style. Bills Mafia all the way.
So again, I'm big on Josh Allen. I'm as big on Josh Allen as you are on Joe Burrows. I love Josh Allen. I love watching this Bills team play.
I love him too.
Yeah, and he's
good quarterback. Solid quarterback.
Outside of Justin Herbert, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch right now, if not my favorite.
And he's young. He's young. That's the fun part about all these quarterbacks we've been talking about is they're young, and there's going to be so much fun football to watch from him.
He's like if Jim Kelly had machine gun arms and the body of a tank. That's what I feel like Josh Allen is. It's so awesome. Now, this is going to be a good matchup. I think the Patriots can definitely hold their weight, but if Josh Allen is still ramped up as he has towards the end of the season, and he has been, like, I think this, I'll tell you why I'm thinking, but I'm going Buffalo Bills on this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get back to more picks, and we're going to fill out the bracket. So if you want to get a pen and paper, fill out the brackets with us, or, on your smartphones, however you do it. This is the @Real Gabe Anders Show. We're going to take a quick break, advertise some stuff, pay some bills, and on the other side, we'll be right back here. Myself, Gabriel Anders, and Richie Vegas. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fans of all ages, the AWF is back January the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona, as we present High Stakes. Watch the AWF stars risk it all in the ring. Bet on an action-packed family fun night of entertainment. And come roll the dice with us January the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona at the new AWF Arena. Tickets are on sale now at ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com, and please support our sponsors. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the @Real Gabe Anders Show. You are here with myself, Gabriel Anders, and Richie Vegas, and we are talking the NFL Wildcard. I almost said AWF. See where my mind's been the last 10 years, but we were talking the NFL Wildcard because we have the AWF Wildcard Rumble, so it's natural for me to try to interject the associate the words AWF and Wildcard because it's been that way for 10 years in my mind. But this is the NFL Wildcard Weekend. So again, just to recap, what you mentioned on the last side of the break, both of us are picking Cincinnati because Las Vegas Raiders are a terrible team full of terrible people. I did congratulate them in a tweet. I don't know if you caught that. So I did do my sportsmanship tweets after they defeated my Chargers. So, but we're both picking Cincinnati. We're both picking Buffalo over New England. So the next matchup we have Tampa Bay, well, really, the some people call them the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some people call them the Florida Bradys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, this one's kind of a lopsided one. Do either of us even pick Philadelphia in this one, Richie?
No, I'm not stupid, especially since this is a competition. Tom Brady is going to do everything he can to get to another championship.
You can have one of his main receivers walk out in the middle of the game and he'll still find a way to get the victory.
Let's not be ambitious enough to call AB one of his main receivers.
Oh, true. But the point is, with that sort of a distraction, he can still weather the storm. Whether, even if it was, it was one of the 52 men. Is it a 52 man roster or have they expanded that? So I know it was 52 men in 93, but
I believe it's 52 men still. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but we're both going Tom Brady's. See, it's funny because he went to the team. Do you think he picked the team because of his initials?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So from here on out until he's off the squad, let's just refer to them as the Florida Tom
Brady's.
The Tampa Brady's. So we're both going Tampa Brady's. Dallas and San Francisco in what I think might be, at least for the NFC, might be one of the wildest matchups that we could see in this wild card weekend. What do you see in this one? I know you hate Jimmy Garoppolo, but with Dak Prescott and Jimmy Garoppolo, they both have great receiving cores. They both have solid running backs that can. They didn't sit Zeke, by the way. I didn't text you, but they kept Zeke out there. I think to hit 1,000 yards against the Eagles on Saturday. I don't know if you caught that.
I did, and they did. And honestly, I have to take Dallas You already know, like, yes, the whole Jimmy G thing. Like, I'm not gonna rehash that, but just purely based on the amount of talent.
Yeah, no need to rehash that just because I would like
consistency of the talent that Dallas has. I'm not a Dallas fan by any means necessary, but I just have more faith in their ability to pull it off.
See, and they have been stellarly consistent this year. They really have been a powerhouse. I've loved watching them this year. I think that San Fran has what it takes to eke it out. And I'm glad you're not rehashing the Jimmy G. I'd like to do a live show in the Bay Area at one point. We don't need to have armed security around you the entire time. But I'm going to go 49ers because I think just like they did against the Rams, who are another powerhouse in the NFC, I think they can eke it out. I think they're one of those thriller sort of, fun, entertaining teams to watch. And they have just enough of a lack of consistency to make it interesting. But at the same time, you're talking about Deebo Samuel. I don't know if Sanu's injured. They have Ayuk. They have, I forget. I'm failing to remember Richards, I think, as the running back. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong. And they have a good defense. So I think that this is going to be a high scoring game, I believe. And I think this will be a lot of back and forth. But bro, Deebo Samuel. Debo, that's my bike, bro. That's my bike. I think that's what the Niners are going to say in Dallas this weekend. KC Pittsburgh. This one has storyline written all about it. Mahomes versus Roethlisberger and what could be Big Ben's last year.
Game. This is Roethlisberger's last game of NFL football.
Okay, so you're going KC on this one.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is Mahomes in playoff mode, for one. For two, that Steelers team struggled to beat a Baltimore Ravens team without Lamar Jackson. You can't beat, if you can barely put away a Ravens team without Lamar Jackson, what makes you think you can scratch a Kansas City team with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I mean, again, right? I'm going to harken back to last week. You want to talk storyline, right? Big Ben.
It's a great story, but this Big Ben is about to be put out to pasture by Patrick Mahomes. It's over. He's done.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I'm trying to pull up their records here. I think I have it right now. So I'm gonna go. I just want to take a look at one thing real quick here, just because I looked at it earlier. I just wanted to make sure. So again, the Chiefs' big problem, right? I think what we saw this season is everybody figured out how Tampa beat them last year. They had the slow start, and of course they won. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the last 10. But I mean, it's not much to say the Chargers took them to overtime because that's just the way they played this year. But they did have a solid victory over Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh comes back, makes it interesting. They also lost to the Bengals. And even though they were close losses, they were crushed by the Titans, crushed by the Bills, and not crushed by the Chargers. But earlier in the year, the Chargers did figure them out, as did the Ravens when they were playing well. So I'm going to say that this could be an off week because, like we said about the Super Bowl last year, everybody's due for an off week. I think 9 out of 10 games, I think Mahomes due for an off week. I say Pittsburgh finds a way to take it in. So I'm going Pittsburgh. I'm going to shock the world, Richie.
That is a risky pick, but
I'm hanging my hat on it because I think that the football fates, if you will, are going to be on Big Ben's side. And then last matchup of the evening, or of the weekend, I should say, on Sunday, the evening game. The Los Angeles Rams play host to the Arizona Cardinals in a lot of divisional matchups, I noticed, and a lot of just good football rivalries in this one going in. Rams and the Cardinals, what are you thinking?
Rams, honestly. Both teams have been kind of off, but if there's one team that I think can still do it, it's the Rams. I think the Cardinals have lost so much steam without having DeAndre Hopkins and JJ Watt that it's just not the same team that started the year undefeated.
And I don't think they are in the same place mentally as they were when they started the season either. No. And then, even though they're a better road team, because I think they have a better road record than home record right now, I think that the wheels have fallen off the wagon at this point. Again, I love Kyler Murray. I think he's fantastic. And of course, being out here, I wouldn't say I have a strong affinity for the Cardinals, but I definitely, it's good for the city when they do well. I think there's it's a more positive atmosphere, but at the same token, yeah, man, I think that the Rams, even though they haven't been playing as solidly, they're still the Rams. They're still a powerhouse. And with Stafford there, I think that they're not going to be able to do what San Francisco did last week. The Cardinals, that is. And I think the Rams take this one too. So again, to recap, Cincinnati versus Oakland. We both have Cincinnati. Buffalo and New England. Both of us take Buffalo. We're both taking the Tampa Brady's over the Eagles. You have Dallas and Dak Prescott. I'm taking Garoppolo and San Fran in a very vintage classic rivalry that we'll have to touch on the TikTok Sports History. Oh, by the way, I do a sports history show once a day on TikTok if you want to check that out at Real Gabe Anders. Dallas and San Fran. I'm taking San Fran. You're taking Dallas. And Pittsburgh KC. I'm going to gamble because neither of us gambled on Jacksonville last week.
That's
true. I think this is the gamble pick right now. So this is you need to know a little bit being from Vegas, right? Put your money on this one.
That's true.
Because I think this is Jacksonville versus Indy all over again. I'm taking Pittsburgh and Big Ben. You are taking Mahomes and the Chiefs. And finally, we're both taking the Los Angeles Rams. So we'll see there. There are, of course, there's a couple different picks. So we'll see. Again, you are currently in the lead with a running total of 12 wins and 4 losses. I am currently 11-5. So we will see where we are. This is our week 2 of Gabe and Richie's picks on the Real Gabe Anders show. So we will have to see. Time will tell. Any last thoughts on the wildcard playoffs? Oh, by the way, so this is the start of our bracketology. So if you want to follow along, I don't know if I mentioned that in the last segment. We're not going to do the full bracket today. Let me specify. We're going to do the wildcard round this week. We're going to take a long, hard look. We're going to watch these games and because I think that's important. Let's watch the games starting Monday. We're going to start putting our brackets together. So you do that same thing at home. Tweet us if you have any questions. I'm at Real Gabe Anders. He's at Richie Vegas RGA. If you have any questions that you want to run by us, and we're going to reconvene next week on Friday before the games get started again with a full bracketology. But in the meantime, we both have Super Bowl picks that we're looking at. And I think mine might have changed. I'm not sure if yours did over this last weekend of play. So Cincinnati, we know is your pick.
Dark horse pick.
Okay, so we have our dark horses. So I think I want a Cincinnati, San Francisco Super Bowl. That would be neat and fun to me. I don't know that that's my actual pick. You were leaning towards what? Cincinnati and the Rams, I believe. Were those your? Oh, and then lest we forget to Tennessee and Green Bay have buys. That's why you haven't heard us mention them yet. They are not sitting. They're sitting out this round, and then they'll be playing a home game towards the lowest remaining seed after Wildcard Weekend. That's who they'll respectively be hosting. So Let's take a look now again. Full picture. Who do you think, not dark horse picks, who do you think will be in the Super Bowl from where we sit right now after week 18?
Honestly, I think I am going to move off of the Rams a little bit.
Okay. That's fair. After how they played last week. Not that they played poorly, but I can understand.
I want it to be the Rams. In my heart of hearts, I want it to be the Rams. But if I have to be realistic with the NFC, I honestly think it's going to be a task and a half to stop either Rodgers or Brady from getting there.
Right.
And I think realistically, if the seeds line up that way, that's your NFC Championship game.
Oh, most likely, yeah.
And if that's your NFC Championship game, you're getting either of those. And I firmly believe that the AFC Championship game, if it stacks up the right way, is going to be Tennessee and Cincinnati.
Okay. I believe that.
And I think Cincinnati runs away with the heist of the century and plays either Tampa or Green Bay. And that game is going to be a slugfest. I personally think. But I hate to admit it, but with Burrow being as young as he is, just getting there the one time is going to be the experience he needs to take off, similar to a Mahomes or even a Russell Wilson.
Right.
And even if they don't win, it's going to skyrocket his potential. I think that they lose to either Rodgers or Brady. One of them gets another ring. And I think if Brady wins one more ring, he's done.
Is Derrick Henry going to be active? Have you heard any? I thought I heard rumors that he might be active for the playoffs. He should be by the divisional round, right?
Because they got the bye week.
Okay.
He'll be ready.
And that helped because I know that I was hearing that they had to reactivate him in a certain amount of time. Now, this is the bigger question. Will he be Derrick Henry? come the divisional round? I think that's the biggest question you have to ask with these matchups.
Well, Derrick Henry, it's all going to depend on how he looks when he comes back.
Right. Not to say that Tennessee can't do it without him, because I mean, they had Adrian Peterson running for them at a certain point. So, but will he be one? Hopefully, him returning won't cause a distraction for them, and two,
he's a very effective piece of their offense. But also, Tannehill has something to prove, similar in my opinion to what Matt Stafford's been trying to prove, which is why I kind of really want to see a Titans-Rams Super Bowl.
Right, which would just be fun because of the last Titans-Rams Super Bowl,
right,
back in '99. Yeah,
right. It would be interesting too. On top of the fact that like it's two very similar teams to me. It's two very similar teams.
So, and you know what realization I made, and I 100% have to give Tannehill his credit. I still see, and this is no disrespect to any of the names I'm about to put out there, but I still see Ryan Tannehill on the same level as Marcus Mariota, as Jay Fiedler, as just all of these quarterbacks that he kind of emerged around the same time in, that didn't really take off, as, you know, as Kirk Cousins out in Minnesota. You know what I mean? Like just this sort of like average, if you have all the pieces right, should make a wild cut. Like, no, Tannehill's a very good quarterback and he's been doing very good things. Weren't they in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs, or was that a divisional round, that big comeback?
No, that was the AFC Championship.
Right. So like, talk about sleeping on anyone. I have been sleeping on Tannehill. I didn't realize that they would win their division, let alone get the 1 seed. I didn't think anyone was taking that from Buffalo this year, except maybe the Bengals once they started catching fire. And of course, you know, obviously the Chiefs, but they didn't play like the Chiefs this year. So yeah, man, I think that I think my dark horse is also right, Cincinnati and San Fran. That's who I'm probably rooting the most for. But I think NFC realistic brass tacks, you hit it on the head, right? One of the bays are going. Green Bay or Tampa. We just have to figure out which one. As much as I like the other teams, LA's cooling down. Arizona's going out in the first round. San Francisco, we'll see. That would be the Cinderella story of the NFC this year if they do. I think they're still putting stuff together to get back there. They can, but I don't think this is it. Dallas. Oh, don't let the lady hear me say that. Dallas, they're strong. Not this year, Dak. Unfortunately, I root for him after his injury, but like I like
really
Dak
think
Prescott.
He's losing. You really think that they're losing to the Niners?
That I believe, yeah. No, I think the Niners can take it from Dallas. I do believe that one. Yeah, I believe they can, just because Dallas can be beat. Dallas can be beat. They're not a, you know, if Dallas has an off week and 49ers put it together, I'm still standing on that hill, man. The 49ers are a great team. They're every bit as good as they were when they made the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And outside of maybe Mostert and one other running back, they're primarily healthy right now.
I won't disagree either. I also think it's kind of crazy. Like, if you really look at it closely, that's almost the entire NFC West is in the playoffs. All but
everyone but Seattle. And Seattle should have been, but they, you know, talk about falling off the wagon this year. Mm-hmm. Like, who knows, whatever. Maybe the Russell Wilson circus. No, I was watching a couple of Seahawks games last night, and I think it's just, the biggest thing is just I think their time's just done. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, because
it's time for a rebuild, and that's their championship window is completely closed now. So it's time to reboot. And I think the first thing they need to do, and anybody from Seattle could come after me about it, but I know a lot of people agree, it's time to move off of Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I think that's the same. And even down to the receivers. I can't remember the name of the main one that they have out there. He had a couple touchdowns.
Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, and Tyler Lockett is still a great receiver, and he had put up a couple touchdowns against Arizona. But it's like, I think them as a unit just need a rebuild. And I think if Wilson and Lockett go anywhere else, they have great finishes to their careers. But
and it's not just that; it's the pieces they can get while they still have them under contract too. You can get a first-round pick and a star player for Russell Wilson,
right? You can harvest a lot of quality talent
to let's say a North Carolina, or like to Carolina. You could ship him off to Carolina and get really good price for him. You could ship him off to New York.
Well, let's say this. Oh yeah, the New York. We'll talk about that in another episode. The New York teams are just, what is going on in the Big Apple. But the let me run this scenario by you. What if, not necessarily just take Deshaun or take Watson out of it? What if, perhaps, you love Mills. I know you love Mills. What if Russell Wilson ends up in Houston if those are the philosophical differences?
Well, if Russell Wilson ends up in Houston, I'll be a happy man. I mean, I like Russ. Russ is an incredible quarterback. It just depends on what we have to sacrifice for it. Because if we sacrifice any more first-round picks, I'm going to go out back and Old Yeller myself.
Well, I mean, if you keep Mills, though, it's not too bad because I was, first-round picks.
Keep
yes,
Mills. Keep Mills and let that
and
kid
let
learn
Wilson
Russell
teach
Wilson.
Mills. Exactly. Right. So we won't spend too much on it. But
for like 2 years. But if that was to happen, as long as we're not giving up first round picks, if it's a straight quarterback trade with maybe a second or a third rounder, I would be okay with it if it's Wilson for Watson. But that's the only instance I see myself being okay with that trade.
Is this a contract year for him or no?
For Watson? Watson's
Wilson.
2 more years.
Or Wilson.
Wilson just resigned.
Oh, that's right.
No. They might have franchise tagged him. I don't remember.
Okay, so that probably won't happen, but nonetheless, I think changes are a need for Seattle. But I would say in the AFC, man, if Buffalo still keeps playing like fire, I think my realistic pick is Buffalo because they are powerhouses and they're just bullying people on the field right now. And even though I don't think this is Joe Burrow's year, as much as nice as that would be, it's not Ben's year. I think the Chiefs can take a break from going to the Super Bowl and being AFC champions for a second, and I think this year they will. Because they like we were saying off break, they lost to Buffalo. They lost to Buffalo. That's the biggest one. And I think it's either Buffalo or Tennessee. And I think Buffalo gets their revenge for their Thursday night game from earlier in the year that they shouldn't have lost. Because if I remember, it was a bad play call that lost them that game. So I think that all things being equal, I think Buffalo goes. And I think I'm going to lean towards Tom Brady just because he can't stop the guy. Like, I don't know, like Aaron Rodgers is playing like a madman this year. But I truly think that we have a Steve Young, Troy Aikman type of scenario to where even though I might statistically put or just general feel put Steve Young above Troy Aikman had his number. So how many times did the Cowboys beat the Niners in the championship game? You know what I mean? So yeah. I think that's what we're looking at with Brady and Rodgers. But so I'm saying right now, Buffalo, Green Bay. You're saying most likely. What was yours again?
What I want to see is Cincinnati, Green Bay.
But what you're realistically feeling?
No, what I'm wanting to see is Cincinnati, LA. What I think we're going to see is probably Green Bay, Tennessee. Okay,
gotcha. So we are when we
or
come
even
back,
actually no. Let me correct myself. Green Bay, Kansas City.
Oh wow, rematch of Super Bowl I. Okay. Well, there you go. I would not be happy with that. But on the other side of the break, we're up against one. So we're going to watch the Pat McAfee match from NXT TakeOver 30. So we'll give you the timestamp. Get ready for it. This segment's going to run a little bit long. We already know it. But we're going to watch the full match, get live reactions. I have not seen this match. You have, Richie.
God, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear your reactions because it's going to be gold.
So we're all in for a treat. So we're going to talk pro wrestling, WWE, NXT, Pat McAfee versus Adam Cole. On the other side of the break, at Real Gabe Anders Show, we'll have the timestamp for you, and we will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fans of all ages, the AWF is back January the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona as we present High Stakes. Watch the AWF stars risk it all in the ring. Bet on an action-packed family fun night of entertainment and come roll the dice with us January the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona at the new AWF Arena. Tickets are on sale now at ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com and please support our sponsors. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You are on the at Real Gabe Anders Show. And ladies and gentlemen, like we said on the last break, you've been anticipating it for a week. I know I have, and Richie, you love this match, so we're in for a treat, I'm sure. I hope you have your Peacock fired up or however you watch wrestling in the WWE. So this is, again, NXT TakeOver 30. And this is what? Season 7, episode... Do you have that offhand by chance?
Season 7, episode 3. And it's WWE NXT TakeOver 30.
And then as you get that pulled up, Richie, what is the timestamp that we are going to all be watching this along together at?
We are starting at 57 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, so if you need to go ahead and pause this, we're going to give you a second to get that queued up. Also, while it's paused, if you want to start a little bit further, go about 3-4 minutes back or however long it was, watch the intro package, which we watched during the break, which was fantastic to really get a feel for the build-up. As always, WWE top of the line, video packages when it comes to pay-per-view, really giving you a feel at it again with this one. So as you get that queued up, we're going to go ahead and get going. So I love the realism. Actually, before we get into that, let's go ahead and start playing. So Richie, We're going to have Richie count us down in just a second. Everyone get lined up. This segment's going to go a little bit longer, but that is okay. You're going to watch it along with us. While you have your reactions, tweet us. I'm at Real Gabe Anders. Richie's at Richie Vegas RGA on Twitter. Let us know what you think. And we're all going to watch this match from NXT TakeOver 30, Pat McAfee versus Adam Cole. And just before you count us in, make sure you grab snacks, drinks, whatever you need for the next 20 to 30 minutes. We're in for a treat. So got that all ready and stored up. All right. Now that you do, flip your peacock. Make sure it's flip your peacock. That's a weird phrase. Flip your peacock. Get your snacks. Richie, go ahead and count us in for the people who are watching the Pat McAfee match.
All right. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play now.
Alrighty, so
yeah, I love the whole build up to this. Before we went live for this segment, I had Gabe watch the promo, which I recommend or the package, which I recommend doing before or after the match because we're already in it. But
and if you want to pause it, go back and then just
if you haven't heard it.
Yeah, if you want to, you can pause it, go back and do that. So
the whole
what do we got here,
stipulation to this match. So the whole stipulation to this match, if you didn't miss it, is that Cole had to do this alone. He wasn't allowed to have the Undisputed Era with him.
Okay, so and then the Undisputed Era is his faction.
Yeah, the Undisputed Era is Adam Cole's faction, and Pat McAfee's whole spiel was the only reason Adam Cole's done anything in NXT is because he's had the Undisputed Era with him the whole time.
And then McAfee's Barstool, right? Barstool Sports?
Right. No, he's not Barstool. He works for WWE. He works for WWE. He does commentary for WWE now, and he has his own podcast that he manages.
Oh, I thought that he was
Barstool
like
Sports.
derived from Barstool. Okay, I don't know why I had that association, but
no, he's his own thing.
Yeah, because
I think at one point he might have been Barstool.
I think as we're watching this, I just have such a why is nobody helping him type feel when it comes to McAfee, because like Cole has a stable, right? And then he's got the whole locker room. McAfee's sort of a newbie when it comes to wrestling. Not saying that, not discounting him, but he's only at this point, within the first year, actually legitimately in the business. He's got, here we go. Cole sucks.
That's
okay,
all of his podcast guys. He brought all of his podcast guys.
That's exactly what I was going to ask was like, why is no one helping McAfee? But he does have some crew with him. Okay.
That was AJ Hawk with him, the former Packer.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask him, like, doesn't he have any, like, linemen or anything who are coming to his aid? But, okay, so he's got some crew.
Quick. The strongest leg in the history of humans.
And the history of legs.
Hit my music.
That is great. The history of humans and the history of legs. So we're in for a treat. Great promo.
They gave him his own. Oh yeah, he's an amazing promo. I love how they gave him his own music too.
Oh, they have to. Yeah, I would imagine, right? Is it just his podcast music, or is it? It's probably something else they got the right.
This is what they play before shows when he comes out to the commentary desk too.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay. So sort of like with them playing JR's Sooner anthem or whatever the Sooner fight song,
or Michael Cole's little coal mine music.
Yeah, that's right. So okay, so are they also banned from ringside? Just to clarify the Sips, or does McAfee let his?
I think they are. I think they are banned from ringside.
Okay.
I can't remember though. I do remember William Regal barred the era from ringside,
right?
Because McAfee demanded it,
which I like. So first off, as we're getting situated for the bell, I love that old school sort of stipulation of like we each have sort of a posse, we each have a group, let's do this as men, though. Your guys aren't allowed. My guys aren't allowed. We're going to settle this like men.
That was what Cole was. That's what Cole was just saying too, is that they need to be in the back. And this is strange. This is one of those few times in his NXT run that we had a babyface Adam Cole.
Okay.
He was a heel 90% of his NXT run.
Right. Well, I think there's just too much fanfare for him right now, isn't there?
All right. So thinking of the wrestling fundamentals, the lockup.
Yeah, McAfee looks good.
You have to have a good lockup. Yeah.
McAfee is really understanding the first stage of the match. So he got in there and trained, man. It looks like he got in the training facility.
Oh, no, he did.
Okay.
He definitely did. I love and then you have on commentary Tom Phillips saying that he was training for months or weeks for this match.
Yeah.
When in reality he had to have been training for much longer. But you have to also realize he may be a punter, but he's still an athlete. Like he was going to take to it quick, and he's been a lifelong wrestling fan. If you ever listen to his podcast, he talks about it all the time.
Yeah. So he definitely has when you have that general understanding, it helps so much. Like we see it with kids in the AWF Academy. It's like the ones who have that general idea of how
he's still
a match
building
should
heat.
Go. Ooh, nice up and over.
And he's still building it. Look at that up and over. I love the cockiness, man.
Ooh,
he
nice
really
strut.
understands how to get heat.
Oh, he went for the up and over. Ooh, nice dodge. Okay. McAfee looks good in the ring.
Right?
McAfee looks good in the ring. Okay. I don't think I was expecting that.
He does. I'm telling you, dude. This is why I wanted you to watch this match.
Little R-Truth spot.
Yeah. God, he's just so good at generating heat.
Who was heel? Who was face? Obviously, McAfee was face.
McAfee's heel. McAfee's heel.
McAfee's heel in this. Okay.
McAfee's heel. Because remember, he jump-started the match not jump-started the match, but caused the match to happen by trying to kick Adam Cole's head off. And then all the promos, he was the heel in all the promos. They made Adam Cole look like the guy you want to, like, not just the baby, not a sympathetic baby face, but like the defender of the brand, because McAfee came in as an outsider, as a heel.
Okay, so he's sort of defending the brand, defending the business. You're
defending
just a
NXT because McAfee said he was gonna piss on the grave of NXT.
Oh, okay. So I didn't catch that, but okay. So what I'm liking so far, so that makes more sense. So as we're watching this, one thing I'm going to break down too. So at first, not knowing that backstory, which is very important, and of course this is a dead giveaway. My question was kind of why Pat McAfee was working heel, but because there's a fine line and sort of a blurred line, I should say, actually, between working heel and working as a celebrity who's in the wrestling ring in a match. So that's kind of what I thought McAfee was doing at first, but now that you explained that, totally makes sense. And the odds are stacked against Cole by allowing McAfee's guys. Now I'm understanding this a lot more, and not allowing the Undisputed Era. And since they're banned from ringside, this whole little skirmish could potentially cost him the match.
Exactly.
Okay, nice little pull apart. Oh, my lord.
Yep.
McAfee just hit a swanton from the top rope to the outside.
And it looked good.
Wow, that I did not expect.
He didn't belong doing it.
Right, yeah.
I'm telling you. That is my sentence that summarizes this entire match. That I did not expect.
that looked solid,
too. And so clean.
And I love the way that they were. So they'll do this trick, and it's what really bugs me on the indies, because a lot of times our camera people don't know to do it. So like with a spot like that, from a production standpoint, you really have to allow the guy to evade and be hitting out of plain sight for it to be such a, as had we seen McAfee go up to the top, we see this a lot in the indies, where one camera will follow him into the ring, into the top rope, and watch him all the way down for the dive. And sometimes you have all cameras doing that, which is painful. But with that, they allowed McAfee to get out of the shot. You kind of completely forget about him. You see everybody in the sort of skirmish on the outside. It just pops back up. That's what makes those spots. So that's why we liked that, basically. So great job by the production team. And yeah, again, that looked flawless. I love McAfee is working this match heel 101. And he is like a la Ric Flair a la any great heel. Like, he is taking his time. He's methodical in the ring. He's working the crowd that's not there, which even to that, like, good for him, because that was hard for a lot of people, I bet.
And this was when they had the small little feeder crowds with like performance center talent and like friends and family.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the thing too. I know you touched on it briefly. They're following every stage of the match. They established who's heel and face. They got the story going. They had a great beginning of the match. Now they're in the heat, and Adam Cole isn't just taking the heat well, but Pat McAfee knows how to draw the heat out. It's the whole art of, he knows he's new to wrestling and he has athletic ability, but he's not doing a million things to get heat. He's doing heel shit to get heat. Like, look at that, doing the squats with him on his shoulder. Like,
well, and that's what I love, is that
he's just doing what he knows he can do,
and he's doing basic heel shit, which is great. Like, from that spot right into this hold in the ground, keeping him grounded. Like, it's great. I just love that he's following. Obviously, right, he's new. This, I imagine, is his first match in the ring, right?
This is his first match on TV. I don't know if it's his first match ever.
Right,
but I know it was his first match that was televised.
Official,
and he did a couple multi-mans after
match.
this. He was actually, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was in a War Games match.
Okay. And then going back, keeping him grounded again.
It's so methodical. Like, they're working a really good pace.
And the one thing that's irking me is he's he's not working hard cam. He's working to the roaming camera on the outside, but at the same time, that's a company preference and a production preference. And it's not that he was working away from the hard cam. It's more so that he was working directly to the mobile cam.
That drop kick looks so good.
It's very nice. And I like that, he got his cardio up for this. He's starting to feel it a little bit.
He's taking his time.
Yes.
He's taking his time in between. He's letting each spot marinate.
And he's
letting each spot hit.
So if you're in wrestling training right now, the one thing that I would like you to take away from this match with him being so green is his constant motion. Because he's not doing a lot, but every second that you watch McAfee in this match, he's moving.
He's doing something.
He has not stopped moving.
Even if it's just heel work, moving slightly, he's not stopping. He's doing something. I hate the spot in wrestling. So the where you just stand here and clobber each other and nothing happens for 5 seconds. I hate that spot.
Yeah, it's a little indie. I like this hockey spot though. Just pull the head over with the punches. That's great.
I love the hockey spot a lot. I love that anytime somebody uses. Oh, I love that pump kick. Cole has that's one of my favorite moves of Adam Cole's, is that pump kick, because the way he hits it literally without you seeing it coming at all.
It's clean, yeah.
And another thing that's understated too, that you don't see as much, because you have to kind of deduce it just from being somebody who watches wrestling a lot. They really play up the fact that Adam Cole knows how to use the ring, and Adam Cole is the veteran when it comes to in-ring experience, and he's using all of his wrestling knowledge against Pat McAfee, even though Pat McAfee's overconfident. You can see Cole is using his knowledge of the rules and knowledge of ring awareness to win.
Okay, just a 2 count there.
Try and win.
Okay. 1-2, I love, and this might just be a testament to, like, you know, one's a conditioned wrestler, one's not, is like, and this isn't a knock on McAfee. McAfee's getting a little blown up because no matter what sport you've done, wrestling is a different type of Cole. The fact that Cole, you know, one is more conditioned for it makes the story move so much better. I feel like
bang, bang, man. Dodges it, roll up. It does. Yeah, it does. And this is the thing. You might not realize, because it's been such a fun match. We're already 15 minutes deep.
No way. Really?
We are 15 minutes deep.
Okay, so I like that they're giving him life. They're giving him fight.
15 minutes of wind. This is after 15 minutes of wind. So it's very much a he is tired. He is legitimately tired, because you figure most wrestlers, even conditioned wrestlers, don't always go 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Well, with the adrenaline of a new
most
match,
matches are between 5 and 10.
And he opened with a promo before his entrance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just love McAfee's taunting, man. I love the fact that he never stops being a heel the whole match.
Yes.
He stays himself. And the thing is, what I was saying earlier about why I think McAfee makes better for being a heel in this match, he's just naturally the type of guy that you love to hate. It can be so annoying because of his arrogance and his brashness that you could just. And he didn't have to do much to be a heel. He just had to turn up his normal personality by like just a couple notches. God, I love that. Oh,
yeah, that was nice. I'm buffering now, but that was a nice little nugget
so
there.
clean.
I like
Did you see that
selling
though?
it,
The kip, the box jump, the superplex.
Seeing it now. Okay.
God, that's just freak athleticism. I don't care what anybody says, punter or not. That man is a goddamn athlete.
Yeah, and that's
a normal human being cannot do
definitely.
a backflip from 4 feet, land, and then do a 4-foot box jump.
Yeah, he still got it. He could still work
catch your balance.
He
For
could still
people
have
who have never been in a wrestling ring before, I don't think it's easy to state how hard it is to balance on those ropes, especially if those are cords.
Yeah, they use the real ropes in WWE, so
so
he could still have a good showing at a NFL Combine.
Yeah, for real. He could. Oh, here we go. And again, that just goes back to Adam Cole being the veteran and using the ring awareness to get his advantage. And I love that. I love that they play that story in this match. Because he is the veteran. He is the one who knows how this works.
Definitely. Okay, I like the plain possum and Cole not having it since he is the veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Put him in a figure 4.
I think the one that McAfee could be doing more to sell it here a little bit, but I can't blame him for his sell right here because he's gassed.
He's so
Look
gassed.
at his face.
Yeah, the boy's turning blue.
He is fully gassed. It's hard. Like he could be freaking out when Cole wrenches and he's not. But again, that's all a part of being green. He doesn't know how it's supposed to feel to really be selling that figure 4. Especially, and even if he does, he's at that point of gassed where it's just gone. He's out of wind. But again, we're approaching the 20-minute mark in this match.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too. Like when you hear about the old days too, it sounds a little gruff. It sounds a little like out of touch, but that's why you would get guys who would, if you're not selling the move right, lay into it a little bit and give them the appropriate
still selling too. That's what's really cool about it. He's continuing to sell the injury despite everything.
Right, which is, we watch the indies, not always what you get. So, okay. Like the dodging around the ref. Did he hit him with the low blow?
Yep. McAfee hits Cole with the low blow, yeah. Playing with the rules a little bit. That big lariat.
Dude, McAfee's face, man. Just the facial expressions he has are fantastic.
It's so good.
Oh, there we go. There's the punt.
Mm-hmm. He had to hit it, but it was like a double-edged sword because he hit it, but he hit it with the injured foot. So they can play the whole he didn't get all of it because he had to do it with an injured foot.
Okay. Yeah, this is a well laid out match, which you have to have with somebody who's so green and so new, and in such a problem spot.
If you're a brand new wrestling fan, right, you had no idea of the buildup of this match, you wouldn't be able to tell me that Pat McAfee is new. You wouldn't be able to tell me that this is Pat McAfee's first match in professional wrestling.
Or that he was an ex-NFL guy turned wrestler. You would just assume like, oh, wow, this is a good match. Like, isn't he? What's good? Like, these guys are good.
Yeah,
Which I like, which is a credit, 100% a credit to McAfee in this. I love his late 90s, early 2000s Double J haircut.
Yeah.
Because that is a haircut that still gets heat, even to this day.
Yeah. Super kick into the double axe handle, which I love that they use the double axe handle there because you never see that move.
Oh, yeah. No, it's classic.
And it makes sense.
That's how you can tell McAfee's a big wrestling fan.
To go into this match and use it. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I want you to watch me beat you. And that's the cool thing, too, is they don't have to change Adam Cole's character to make him a face in this match. He could just be Adam Cole. This is the only thing I hate about the ending of this match.
Okay, so we got Cole. He decided to go for something else. Camping out on the top, letting the gas McAfee come in. Panama City Sunrise. Never heard that one before.
Panama City Sunrise. And they just call it the Panama Sunrise. It's his finish in AEW, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the commentary in this one, I think they said Panama City. Maybe they shortened it, but not a bad match. Not a bad match. I was going to say,
so final thoughts on that.
That is not at all what I expected. That is not what I expected.
I told you, like it
joke match with Gaga and all sorts of, trying to. No, they let that boy go. They let him go.
Yeah, and he did. He went 20 minutes, man.
That is, kudos, Pat McAfee. Good job, brother.
20 minutes.
That is. Talk about some dupe, and he put it in, and he earned his.
No, granted, they did give him the best possible opponent in Adam Cole.
Well, you have to.
Like there's no getting around that.
You have to. Well, and that's a part of it, right? Like you don't put him in there if you don't have the best stance.
Adam Cole being the star he is he's a star who could work. Right.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Well, we're gonna go ahead, and that was a great match. We're gonna talk a little bit more wrestling on the other side of the break, but yeah, great times, great match. Good job, Pat McAfee. We're going to take a break now, though, at Real Gabe Andrews Show. When we come back, Richie, we're going to be talking about the forbidden door that Vince McMahon has opened with his nice multiverse. More on that when we come back on the other side of the break in the at Real Gabe Andrews Show. If you're listening to us, we'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fans of all ages, the AWF is back January the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona as we present High Stakes. Watch the AWF stars risk it all in the ring. Bet on an action-packed family fun night of entertainment and come roll the dice with us January the 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona at the new AWF Arena. Tickets are on sale now at ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com, and please support our sponsors.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And man, what a match that was. I feel like I'm doing commentary. What a match that was.
Right.
The other side of the break. Yeah, we just watched. If you missed it, go back, listen to the watch along, watch it on Peacock with us or wherever you watch your wrestling. And Pat McAfee and Adam Cole. That was an awesome match. That was a very solid match for the expectations I had for it.
That's why when you told me you didn't even know that was a match that happened, I knew we had to do this segment because I had to get your live reaction. It is literally, in my opinion, the best guest celebrity match in wrestling history.
And I heard zero buzz about it. Like, why did I not hear buzz about this?
That's what blows me away is I know a lot of the guys at training, we were talking about it after it happened, but it might have been when you weren't around as much at the academy. It was insane. Like, it was an insane match, and it was something that you just don't see every day.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. Like when these types of matches happen, and maybe I don't know if there's a stigma with McAfee not being a wrestler or whatever, but like I think that you can put away whatever stigma that is, just because like usually I get text messages or somebody will ask me if I got nothing. Like even from an online perspective, I saw nothing, and from a personal perspective, like nobody mentioned it. So that's so weird to me, because that was a very good quality match. Like, and people who know me know I love very good quality matches. So yeah, what a gem. What a gem. Glad for you mentioning that one. So we'll have to maybe we'll watch another one of those in the future. One of the were the following matches, since I know they had a couple, were the following matches as solid, or was this pretty much does this take the cake for their
30 was a really good card. No, 30 was a really, really good card.
Oh, I mean for McAfee and Cole.
Oh, McAfee and Cole. Well, the whole McAfee and Cole thing, I don't believe it ended there. I know they had. Hang on, I want to check.
Like, was this the blow off, or was there?
No, this was his first match. This was his first match.
Okay.
Let me see. Okay, so he was in a War Games. That's what I thought. Right. He was in this match, and he was in a War Games, and the War Games was the blow off, and they lost. It was Undisputed Era versus Pat McAfee's little gang. It was him, Danny Burch, Oni Lorcan, and Pete Dunne.
Okay.
And in a War Games match, and it was
I want to see that. I love Dunne.
Match.
I'm a big Pete Dunne fan.
Then. We should save it for next month and do another watch along second or third show next month.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll try to work that in the calendar. Yeah, because that'll be a fun one. And anything with Pete Dunne, I'm a huge fan of. So I'm big on that kid. Yeah, he's definitely one of my, at least of the NXT UK, one of my favorites. If not just NXT and the brand in general. I am a huge Pete Dunne guy. Are they? Yeah,
they used him really well for a while as one of McAfee's guys. Like he was McAfee's right hand guy.
I could see him fitting that role. He just has one of those faces. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like just one of those faces. Like he is such a believable heel, just in his mannerisms and like and just what is it? The joint manipulation that he does, and he just brings so much creativity to it. I love watching Pete. He
does. He's a modern throwback.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm not big on mouth guards in wrestling. I understand the purpose. It looks great on him. It 100% fits the bill. But so on with the wrestling talk. So there is a little bit of news that transpired this week. If you haven't heard, you're probably living under a rock. WWE mentioned an entrance into their Women's Royal Rumble. They're still they're still separating those two, right? Men's and women's. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Royal Rumbles. Okay. Mickie James, the trash bag receiving Impact Wrestling, not Impact Wrestling champion. No, what is it? What is the
women's champion?
Women's champion. Okay. What is that? Is it still the Knockouts belt, or is it?
No, it's women's. Is
it women's now? Okay. Well, good for them.
I could be wrong. I don't think it's Knockouts division. I thought they did away with Knockouts division. When Tessa played. No, it is Knockouts. It is Knockouts.
It is still Knockouts. Okay, so Knockouts women champion Mickie James. It mentioning the brand by name, and what's come in the last week or so since we've been on air is that they are openly admitting this. So technically, as you've seen online, the fans are alluding to the quote unquote forbidden door being open. So first off the bat, because I texted you as soon as you saw it, you had seen it too, and we wowed like two little kids seeing a new toy in the toy shop when it happened. Yeah. It seemed like. What was your reaction when you heard of this news? Because did you hear it on the show, or did you just hear the news? Because I heard the news.
I heard the news. I don't watch WWE.
That's right. I thought I could catch you in that. Because I thought, why are you watching SmackDown, Richie Vegas?
I only watch major shows for WWE. Like I'll watch the Rumble. I watch the Rumble every year. Right. But I don't typically watch, and I get the news because I keep my ear to the street with that as much as possible, so I could stay caught up. But it's not easy enough for me to watch anymore.
Oh yeah. What was your like when this came across your newswire? What were your thoughts? Like what was your reaction?
I couldn't believe it for one. Not just the fact that she was in the match, because I can believe that, but the fact they called her the TNA knockout or the TNA Women's Champion. I don't think they use knockouts, but they said TNA Women's Champion, and that is what got me. And the other thing too is I don't know if you've kept your pulse on the indie scene. The match, Hard to Kill, which was one of their major pay-per-views, was just this past weekend, and she was defending the title, I believe, against Deonna Purrazzo, and they were supposed to be doing a unification match with the ROH Women's title.
Okay.
And it was going to be Deonna Purrazzo versus the current ROH Women's Champion, and now that's not going to happen because Mickie James won. So I don't know what the whole rigmarole is with why they kept the belt on her, but we'll see. I mean, obviously it's because of the WWE publicity, but what I'm curious about is the other type of stuff this is going to open up now. Because I was mentioning it to you briefly, something Impact is doing right now is they're doing a invasion angle with Ring of Honor.
Right.
In fact, like PCO just signed an actual deal with Impact, and PCO was one of the really top guys in Ring of Honor at this time. You might remember PCO, Pierre Carl Ouellette.
Vaguely.
He's old, man. He's in his 50s.
Yeah.
He was Attitude Era.
What was that? Do you have other
Canadians? He was one of the Canadians.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Pierre, doesn't Pritchard always joke about him being able to, a one-eyed man being able to catch a baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. No, I'm very familiar with him. Yeah. That's it. That's nice. That's great.
He's a former ROH World Champion. He was ROH World Champion a couple years back.
I don't think I knew that. That is crazy because I know that he's still been involved in the scene from the sounds of it. So good for him.
Yeah. So
good for
Impact
him.
hired him. They originally aligned him with Marty Scurll before the whole controversy happened.
Right. Yeah. Now with this, so I don't know. This is very interesting. The one thing I want to go out on record and say is this isn't new. It's not as new as I think people are making it out to be. So with that statement, I'm gonna throw out there, like it is atypical for WWE to do this. I think that there's this weird online narrative, or just weird narrative in general, that they are this company that, which rightfully so. I mean, like A&E doesn't mention MTV, or I don't know if they're both Viacom or whatnot, but you know what I mean? Like CBS doesn't mention NBC, and it's only recently, even in the NFL and football, that broadcasters actually mention the other network. Because for a long time, and I don't know if you're old enough to remember it, but like back in the 90s, that didn't happen.
No,
they didn't even mention the.
No, I remember that. It was like that in the 2000s too.
Yeah, absolutely. So this whole sort of like marketplace, not unity or loyalty. I don't know what the right phrase is, but like it's not new. And WWE mentioning another company by name isn't really that new either. Because I was thinking about it yesterday when we were, I was getting ready for the show. It's like, because at first I'm like, man, what a brand new novel idea. I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's not, because WWE did this with ECW back in the 90s. They did this with NWA. They did this, and I'm not talking about like when they bought WCW and ECW. I'm talking about when ECW was going full force. WWE worked with them and brought them in and displayed their name. WWE did that with the NWA after WCW and NWA parted ways. So it's not the new, and AAA was the other one. So, of course, AAA is not necessarily in the same market or even necessarily the same product when you break it down to wrestling nitty gritties, but it's I don't think it's as groundbreaking personally as a lot of people, but from a fan's perspective, I can see this being really cool, right? Because just look at the landscape, like you mentioned, which that's a whole nother topic for another day, Ring of Honor just in general. And I love Ring of Honor, but I don't know what's happening with all that. But Ring of Honor working promotionally with TNA. I thought they were rumored to be doing something with NJPW and possibly AEW, but those might have just been rumors. They were working with NJPW. Goes
wild. When stuff like this happens, the rumor mill just explodes.
Yeah, well, and it's on like Impact and AEW, which, funny enough, I thought there would be great reaction. It seems like the fans sort of poo-pooed it a little bit, didn't it? When like they basically felt like Impact wasn't it didn't get a good run out of the AEW stuff. But like, I don't know, man. Like it's AEW and WWE, I think. And we used to get this on our scale in Arizona on the indie scene. Like I remember the first time we ever ran head to head with another company out here. I was blown up with text messages of, "Oh, is this a Saturday Night War? Like, or we're going to war? Like, is this the Attitude Era relived?" It's like, no, we just, our venues happen to run on the same date. Like it's not a big deal. And I think people want that WWF versus WCW thing, which again was very good for business.
It was the best era of wrestling in the mainstream.
Yeah. And for the fans, like I said, it's great, right? You get to see your favorite wrestlers everywhere. And then for the wrestlers, it's outstanding because all the payday possibilities that you're getting now, which kudos to them. And again, we see this on our scene and I say kudos to them. Like they're out for their money, which is great. And they should be because nobody else is looking out for it. So that's what I tell all of everybody who's ever come through the school, right? You're familiar with it.
Yeah.
You look out for you.
First interview. It's literally the first interview.
Yeah. So you look out for you because that is this business. From a promoter standpoint, I don't get any of it. I don't understand any of it outside of catering to the fans. And here's why. So I understand Impact working with Ring of Honor, and I understand anybody who's not WWE working with AEW because they're the second biggest stage right now.
Absolutely. And Tony Khan being Tony Khan, he's not Vince McMahon. He's open to working with these other companies.
Right. Which and again, right, like as we're seeing, obviously Vince McMahon's okay with the two, given the right scenario. Right. So,
but it's also you have to figure it's also a WWE legend that's already an established name for WWE coming in. She just so happens to currently hold a belt for another company.
Yeah, but she parted on really bad terms. See, that's where it gets murky, right?
Well, they fired the guy who did it.
Oh, did they? Well, they kind of had to. Like they didn't have a lot of wiggle room there. They couldn't support
they
him.
immediately fired the guy who did it, and I think that's probably what allowed Mickey to maybe even consider it. Also, you have to realize the payday is probably huge.
Yeah, it's a very good payday, I'm sure. I would imagine. I don't know anything about that, but given this circumstance, I would hope for Mickey that it is, and you know, and they're able to. I'm sure their stocks are doing well, or were doing well last I checked. But here's the thing though, like anybody like from Impact, I get it. Impact. If I was Impact, I would do this all day. Why not? Right? Because you want your product to reach more viewers. From WWE. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Like, do you have an answer for that, Richie? Because I don't.
No.
I don't understand why you would go. So, and here's the thing. This is the one thing I was able to boil down, and it's not as pretty as a lot of the fans out there might think it might look on the surface. And it actually ties into that. So Richie sent me a meme. Richie, you got to tweet that so that the people can see it too. Yeah, and you've probably already seen it online if you're listening to this. So it's Vince McMahon enters the master of the multiverse,
the multiverse of madness,
and it's got all the different companies on there. So that's a joke. I don't see any other way around it. Of basically, they're trying to do that.
I'm still waiting for the super show to end all super shows. AEW, WWE, and NJPW doing one giant show together. One,
and who comes out the winner of that?
Everyone.
From a promotion standpoint, WWE is going to. Well, no, from a promotional standpoint. From a promoter standpoint.
Well, from the promotion that wins the most, obviously WWE. Because it wins over something from those markets, and it looks good to the stock owners that they were able to get their two biggest competitors to kneel to them.
Right. And I think you just hit on the why, the biggest why, because at the end of the day, what people I think lose track of, and rightfully so, right? There, anybody who's a fan, I 100% applaud you being a fan and be a fan. Like that's fantastic. I'm even to the point where if you want to be a nasty fan, be a nasty fan, because any fan's a good fan. I saw another meme. I got to send it over to you. It was sort of funny. I'm not going to delve too much into it because then the internet is going to hate me next week. But the meme was like John Cena standing in the EC in where were they? Wherever ECW One Night Stand was.
Yes, I've seen this.
Yeah, and John Cena willingly wrestled in front of a bunch of fans that legitimately hated him. And, you know, some wrestlers can't handle mean tweets. So, like, you know, again, I'm not going to delve too much into that. But at the same token, it's like...
It's true.
It's true. So I think that this is a fantastic move from WWE. I think that from a business standpoint, at the end of the day, like, I think that this is a move that what nobody realizes is happening is WWE is now positioning themselves as the head honcho because psychologically and subconsciously, what they're actually doing by this move, Richie, is they are reminding you that they are the ones who are in charge of the industry. And the reason I say that is they're reminding you because it is a big deal that they said Impact's name because Impact's number 2. What does that subconsciously do? It reminds you who number 1 is.
Well, Impact's not even number 2 anymore. They're number 3 or 4 even. But
True.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if this leads to them even recognizing AEW because that's the thing, right? When the NFL back in the day used to be a lot like it and they just didn't mention anything else. But when you watch an NFL game now you know who the AAFL or AL, whatever that was, that league, the UFL, the USFL and the XFL and college football, you know where those leagues are and they're subprime because NFL's prime.
And that's the same feeling with WWE. No matter
and that's what we're and that's what we're moving towards. I don't know. Is that what the fans want?
No, not at all. Not even a tiny bit. But it's what happens because of the name recognition and the not for the pun, but the titan size of WWE.
Right.
Is because the fact that they grew unchecked for so long that they became so large. But I was looking at a statistic earlier, and this is the last I'll say on it. If you look at the last 20 years for Monday Night Raw, every 5 years has been a steady decrease. They went from over 5.5 million people to just under 1.5 million in the last 20 years. And each breakdown, they lose every 5 years, they've lost 2 million viewers, 1 to 2 million viewers every 5 years.
You know, it would be interesting. This is the last I'm going to bring up on it too. And if you can, I would love it if you can sort of find, I'm sure the data's out there. I would be interested to see what percentage of the market they still hold, considering that overall television viewership, without looking at stats, I would assume anecdotally has also declined.
Right.
So I would be interested to see the rate at which WWE's viewership has declined in conjunction to, and sort of see that on a line chart. And if you can put that together, great. And we'll talk about it next week, is in comparison to just the overall television decline of where those ratings are coming from, because I bet you there's a correlation. I bet you. But okay, so yeah, in closing on that, I think masterful move by WWE, because at first I was kind of like, why would they do this? This is dumb. And then I saw the reactions. I'm like, oh, this is like, nobody's really understanding what's like, I don't know. It's not as big of a deal as people are making it out to be, but you know, whatever, fans will be fans. And then when I thought about it, I thought, you know, the more I thought deeper into it, I'm like, man, this is a fantastic, because it serves two masters, right? They're appeasing the fans because they're doing what they perceive as the fans not liking them to do. And they're fixing that. They're remedying that, right? By saying, oh, no, we'll be inclusive. You want us to be inclusive? Well, they're giving the people what they want, as always. And at the same token, they're also positioning themselves in the marketplace as number one. They are finally, and they have been, but now they're really solidifying and reminding this new generation that we are the NFL. We are Major League Baseball. We are the NBA. There's nobody bigger than us. And people don't realize it, but I think that's what's happening. But last I was going to mention, and we'll look at the ratings because I want to see that. But Richie, before we head out of here, let's give us a little bit of a hockey update. So I'm a big AHL guy. You know, speaking of big leagues and minors, you're a big NHL guy, and we are fast approaching the National Hockey League's All-Star break. Am I right?
You are correct. All-Star break is the first week of February, as it is typically every year. And we have our All-Star rosters announced, which is going to blow Gabe's mind because he doesn't know how Hockey All-Star Week works.
I have no idea. Are they just a ballot? Like, I imagine them being like MLB. Is that how it works? Everybody, like, half fans vote, quarter teams vote, quarter owners vote, or something like that?
Yes. It's all done through a not necessarily a raffle system or a lotto system, but it's based on number of interest, essentially.
Okay.
But that is not what I meant. How many All-Star teams do you think there are in hockey, Gabe?
I would imagine 2. Are the conferences still East and West?
You are incorrect. It is 4.
Why are there 4 hockey All-Star teams in the NHL? What is that about?
Because there are 4 divisions. Each conference only has 2 divisions. So each division gets its own All-Star team. And they do it as a tournament where the Pacific will play the Central, which are both the Western, and the Atlantic will play the Metropolitan, which is both the Eastern, and the winning team of each will duke it out against the other winning team to determine who the best division in hockey is.
Interesting. Okay, and this is mid-season, right?
This is mid-season.
Okay, so one thing, and we'll talk about all-star games in a little bit. One question I have for that is, one, why do they do that? And two, what is other than bragging rights for the division, right? Why, what are they playing for?
Well, the reason they do it too is hockey is less based on your conference and more based on division supremacy. And so it's more based on the regionality of hockey. It's also the fact that this is only the 6th year they've done this, by the way. This is a newer format. It's a 3-on-3 tournament, and it determines the best division because hockey is so different from region to region. It's not, you can't just base it on the conference. Each division has its own brand of hockey.
Oh, so rewind 1 second real quick to something you said. So it's 3-on-3. It's not even a full 5-on-5?
No, it's 3-on-3.
Okay. Interesting.
3-on-3 with a goalie.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was assuming. But yes, with a goalie.
And basically, it's that format. And the cool thing that I think is pretty neat with the amount of guys that are on each team, the winning team gets $1 million to split.
Oh, okay, so that's the prize that they're shooting for.
Yep.
Now,
the winning team gets $1 million.
$1 million to the players of the National Hockey League. Obviously, $1 million if the NFL players are playing for that. No, nobody would care. Nobody would care. Obvious outside of like maybe charity donations. Is this something that guys usually pocket? They usually play for charity. Like I'm not.
Nope, they pocket it. It's a bonus. It's a bonus.
So their salaries are at the point where that is a significant bonus for them.
Correct. They're playing for money. Well, you figure the highest paid player in hockey, which is Connor McDavid, he only makes what? I'm going to look that up real quick. Because it's as much as hockey is extremely brutal and is such a fun sport to watch, these guys get paid nothing compared to football players and basketball players. Connor McDavid, who is one of the highest paid men in hockey, only pockets $2 million a year.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's low. That's lower than I would expect.
Yeah, so you have to think, but he's on a long-term contract, and there's a lot of bonuses. I think it was a 6-year, $12 million contract, which was huge at the time.
Right. But it's not Machado making $10 million a year or anything.
Right. It's not the same sport because it's less about the money, and hockey players play for the bragging rights, and that's why it's that way. Now, before we get off of hockey, I'm going to tell the viewers or the listeners and you who's in for each conference for the All-Star.
Yes, please.
So we have from the Metropolitan Division. Hang on.
Is that a newer? I feel like that's a newer one in the last 10, 15, 20 years. I don't remember that from any of my hockey games in the 90s. Video games.
Metro's been around.
Okay.
All right. So here are the rosters. In the Metro Division, you have Frederick Anderson, Sebastian Aho, and on the limited reserve, Andrei Svechnikov. They're all from the Hurricanes. From the Columbus Blue Jackets, you have Zachary Wierenski and Jacob Voracek. From the Devils, you have Jack Hughes, and then on the limited reserve is Jesper Bratt. And then on the Islanders, you have Adam Palik. I hate pronouncing his name. And with on the limited reserve, Matthew Barzal. For the Rangers, you have Adam Fox and Chris Kreider. And then on the limited, you have Mike Zibanejad. Philadelphia Flyers, they got Claude Giroux, of course, with Cam Atkinson on the limited reserve. The Penguins this year are sending Tristan Jarry with limited reserve Jake Gensel, which for any of our Pittsburgh fans know that's a huge deal that it's not Crosby this year. So it's Jarry with Gensel on the limited reserve. And then, of course, the captain of the Metro Division coming from the Washington Capitals, Alexander Ovechkin, with Evgeny Kuznetsov on the limited. So the way the limited works, obviously, is it's there for rotation since they're playing 2 games in one weekend. Right. So if anybody gets banged up or needs to be swapped, the limited reserve could be swapped in for a player.
Okay.
Basically activated, similar to like an AHL type of thing.
Okay.
And then that is Metro Atlantic Division. You have the Boston Bruins sending Patrice Bergeron with Charlie McAvoy on the limited. The Sabres sending Rasmus Dahlin with Tage Thompson on the limited. The Red Wings this year having a really good all-star being Dylan Larkin sending Lucas Raymond on the limited. The Panthers have Jonathan Huberdeau with Alexander Barkov on the limited. The Canadians sending Nick Suzuki, who I still miss. The Golden Knights miss you, Nick Suzuki. Going for the Canadiens with Tyler Toffoli on the bench. The Senators are sending Drake Batherson with Brady Tkachuk on the limited. Tampa Bay Lightning, of course, are sending Andrei Valevsky and Victor Hedman with Steven Stamkos being on the limited, which I would have thought Hedman and Stamkos would have been different, but the fans voted that one differently. And then the Maple Leafs, of course, are sending Austin Matthews with Jake Campbell and then also John Taves on the limited. 2 divisions left. We're in the Western Conference now, so those last 2 divisions are Eastern. Western, we have the Arizona Coyotes sending Clayton Keller with Phil Kessel on the bench. The Blackhawks are sending Alex DeBrincat with Seth Jones on the limited. The Avalanche are sending Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar with Nazem Kadri on the bench. The Stars are sending Captain Joe Pavelski, not the captain of the Western Conference. I just can't call Joe Pavelski Joe without calling him Captain Joe, with Jason Robertson on the limited. Minnesota Wild have Kaprizov and Cam Talbot with Ryan Hartman on the bench. The Predators are sending Juicy Saros with Roman Josi on the bench. The Blues are sending Jordan Cairo with Robert Thompson on the bench. And lastly, the Jets are sending Kyle Connor with Mark Scheifele on the bench. Something I'll explain before I go into the last division too. You'll notice each team has at least 1 representative and 1 limited. The fans get to vote in the limited.
Okay.
And every team gets 1 representative to represent their team for the division. It's not just based on overall performance for the entire league. It's based on division to division. All right. So last division, the most important division, the Pacific Division. You have the Anaheim Ducks sending John Gibson with Troy Terry on the bench. You have Johnny Gaudreau. For the Calgary Flames, you have Johnny Gaudreau with Matthew Tkachuk on the bench. Oilers are sending in Captain Connor McDavid, who is the captain for the Pacific Division, with Leon Draisaitl as well, and Darnell Nurse on the bench. You have the Kings bringing in Adrian Kemp with Drew Doughty on the bench. You have the Sharks sending Timo Meier with Logan Couture on the bench. You have the Kraken, which is the newest team in the NHL, Seattle, sending Jordan Eberle with Mark Giordano on the bench. And you have the Canucks sending Thatcher Demko with JT Miller on the bench. And also tied for having the second most players in the Pacific in the All-Star game, the Vegas Golden Knights are sending Alex Pietrangelo. Absolutely. Are sending Alex Pietrangelo and Mark Stone both into the game with Jonathan Marchessault on the bench. So, again, that's your All-Star teams. We'll talk more about it, I'm sure, as we get closer to the All-Star break, which is the first week of February. But now you're in the know.
Well, there you go. I didn't hear Joe Sakic's name, but I'm sure he's somewhere in the building when this is all going on. So, yeah,
maybe
there you go. What's that?
What?
Didn't hear what you said. I legitimately didn't hear what you said. But
I said maybe in the basement.
Oh, man. Well, Joe Sakic, I still have love for you, even if nobody else does. But yeah, man, one of those great Avalanche teams I see are not represented, but the new Avalanche are. But also, I'm basing this off of something from 25 years ago. So
yes, you are.
There we go. So who's
also
your pick?
February 5th? The All-Star game is February 5th, and it's in Las Vegas this year. I'm going to try my best to make it out there for it because I've never gotten to watch an All-Star game in person. So it'd be pretty fun to go and witness the tournament and the skills competitions because the skills competitions are really wacky.
Okay, so sort of like a home run derby-esque type of scenario. Is that what they have going on there?
Think of a combination of the home run derby and the slam dunk contest. Okay. Mixed into one big skills competition is what it's called. They do it the 2 or 3 days before the game.
Very nice. So it's a part of the All-Star experience for hockey, essentially, is what you would call it. Okay.
Yeah, you get like the fastest skater, the best trick shot, the best blue line accuracy. There's a whole bunch of different skills.
Right on. Well, yeah, if you do end up going, you have to definitely do a report for us there, so we can get a feel for it. And yeah, who is your pick to win it all and take home the share of the $1 million?
Well, of course, I have to go with Pacific. That's my division. But and honestly, this year, I'm not just going from a bias standpoint. The Pacific Division is stacked, and I think it's either going to be Pacific or Metro. It always is either Pacific or Metro. I mean, there was one year where Mark Stone led not Mark Stone. I can't remember his name right now. He was a Coyote who got cut, and then he led his team to the All-Star game, and they won because he was voted in by the fans.
Was he still representing the Coyotes?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, I didn't know that wouldn't work.
I forget his name, and somebody can remind me. It was a really cool story. I think back in 2017, it took the NHL by storm because it was like a Cinderella story.
Well,
that's how much
interesting.
fun. That's how fun the All-Star game for hockey is, though, because the fan favorites can come out there and outplay some of the best players in the league one night just because the lightning strikes right.
Right. See, that is so interesting. I can't think of any free agent who's been voted to an All-Star game or Pro Bowl or anything that comes to. That'd be like if Antonio Brown was voted into the Pro Bowl this year.
Yeah, exactly.
After being cut.
got like a 90-yard touchdown or something.
Right, and then went into the Pro Bowl representing the Bucks, even though he's not on the team anymore. So
right.
Crazy madness. Well, there's the hockey update. We'll have more as the weeks come on, but Richie, I think it's about time for us to. Oh, do you have more?
Super quick sports news, MLB update. Sorry, baseball fans, the lockout is still going after tonight's deliberation.
Oh, yeah. So, yes. So I think that's about to be expected. The one thing that did surprise me is tickets are on sale this Saturday in Phoenix. And for the Cactus League spring training games, Grapefruit League in Florida is already on sale. So I'm seeing rumors that we're going to be, they're all just rumors that I'm seeing, but speculations that we're going to be good to go like normal. But like you said, deliberation's still at a standstill. So we'll have more on the MLB next week. Richie, anything to close up with as we get on our horses and ride on out of here?
Pat McAfee is a better wrestler than half of the indie wrestlers out there. Matt Ryan is still garbage, isn't even in the playoffs. Jimmy G, play good this week. You'll get another heartfelt apology if you do. And yeah, that's it.
There we go. Hedging the bets that the internet will still hate you next week, Richie. I see that. I see what you did there. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is about it for us here. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. Again, send it to all your friends and family. We appreciate the listeners. We want to get as many of you as possible. Again, we're on Apple, the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, everywhere you can find it, Anchor, all of it, all the above. So just type in Real Gabe Anders Podcast, Real Gabe Anders Show. We will pop up. So, other than that, I think we hit on anything. Pat McAfee wowed me with this first match. And yeah, we'll see what we have for more Wildcard Weekend bracketology next week for the rest of the playoffs. And other than that, Richie, I think we hit on everything here today.
Yeah, we did.
Right. And then, just fill in some basketball news. Go Clippers. I watched the Clippers and, they were not treated so well over the this last week or so on my NBA League Pass free trial subscription. So other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. This has been the @Real Gabe Anders Show. I'm Gabriel Anders with my co-host Richie Vegas, and Richie, go and send the people home happy.
See you later next week, people. Have a good week. Don't hate me too hard. Get home safe.